Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Hops and Highways. It is your weekly newscast dedicated to the road building industry. My name is Jessica Lombardo. I'm editor-in-chief of Asphalt Contractor Magazine. To my left is Dormy Roberts. She is the associate editor. We really picked a great time to come back for season 2, right in the middle of this infrastructure bill debacle. If you haven't joined us before on Hops and Highways, we start out every episode talking about the beer we are drinking. And because of said infrastructure debacle, I did not choose a fancy beer today. I just have my regular Busch Light, my favorite. Dormy, what do you have to drink today?
Well, I am drinking a Hazy Rabbit I got for my birthday. It's from Lakefront Brewery, and it's fruity, it's hoppy, it's pretty good.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, we have a lot to get into today, so let's start out with our cheers.
Cheers.
I really thought that we would have some good news for you today on the infrastructure bill. House Democrats, they set a deadline to vote on the 1.2 trillion infrastructure package by September 27th because government funding expired on September 30th. This bill, this $1.2 trillion package, has been rattling around Washington since earlier this year, but unfortunately, our lawmakers have not been able to get their act together. Yesterday, the House Democrats, they did not reach an agreement between the party's progressives and moderate wings that would allow the chamber to approve the infrastructure investment package, which includes surface transportation authorization. So this effectively puts the authority to spend federal highway and public transportation funds at a temporary lapse. So Congress is expected to approve later today either a short-term extension for that federal highway transportation program or, fingers crossed, the comprehensive transportation infrastructure measure.
And President Joe Biden and Democrat leaders are being forced to secure nearly unanimous support from their party's House members to offset efforts by Republicans to defeat the infrastructure bill. That would increase all states' federal highway funds by about 30%. The same measure earned support from about 19 of the Senate and 50 Republican members.
The issue here is that Democrats are effectively using their power to hold the infrastructure package hostage unless Biden's broader $3.5 trillion spending package called the Build Back Better plan on social infrastructure is also passed. Progressive members are withholding their support until the consensus is reached within the party on the parameters for the separate social infrastructure and climate change measure. Republicans also feel leery of voting for the infrastructure bill. They think that by voting for this package, it's allowing Democrats to effectively get that $3.5 trillion spending package passed. It's important to note that moderates, they want an immediate vote on the infrastructure bill and have expressed their disappointment with the holdup.
And right now, as we talk to you, House Democrats are scrambling to break the weeks-long stalemate on the bipartisan infrastructure package. So President Biden just traveled to Capitol Hill to speak with lawmakers to move his agenda forward.
Biden's presence on Capitol Hill, it's a significant development and shows that the president getting involved in these negotiations beyond his private phone calls that he made yesterday and meetings in the White House, it's really a big step for him. Biden, as we know, is a former senator from Delaware. He's a deal maker. He always has been, but he has only traveled to Capitol Hill once before during his short tenure as president. So this is kind of a big deal, and he's doing that literally right now as we speak.
And as Jess has mentioned earlier, surface transportation funding has effectively expired as of yesterday. So there are talks that the House leaders may take up to 30 days extension for the surface transportation programs that expire at the end of the fiscal year yesterday. Just repeat myself here. So AASHTO has expressed deep disappointment in our government allowing this funding to expire, stating, yesterday's inaction of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act isn't just disappointing, it's a lapse of our highway, transit, and highway safety programs and halts work for vital transportation infrastructure around the country, which is detrimental to our economy and the quality of life for our communities.
So Republicans, they have been hammering Democrats for allowing that highway funding to lapse because there was a fix, but they just didn't pass it. They have not said, however, if they will support a short-term patch to relieve those furloughs. But as we mentioned above, that passage of that $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that the vote is being held up for, it would immediately renew those highway and transit construction programs. The House hasn't voted on that measure amid the Democratic infighting over this larger social spending package that we've been talking about.
And the House is scheduled to leave town Friday for a 2-week-long recess, raising question about whether Democrat leaders will alter the calendar and keep lawmakers in town to vote on Biden's agenda if a deal isn't reached in the coming days.
So I really want this done. We need our industry to have this funding, the long-term sustainable funding that we need to move these projects forward, and we are going to have a cheers to that.
Cheers.
So there are other things happening in the world other than just waiting for a vote on the infrastructure bill. So we want to keep you updated on Biden's vaccine mandate as well. We're continuing to wait for more information from OSHA on its emergency temporary standard that will require employers with 100 or more employees to ensure their workforce is either fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or mandate that any workers who remain unvaccinated produce a negative test result on a weekly basis. So there's little clarity right now as exactly what the agency will formally issue this emergency temporary standard testing mandate and when that will take effect.
And last week, the Safer Federal Workplace Task Force issued guidance to help implement the president's executive order, calling for a broad vaccination mandate for direct federal contractors, which represent prime and subcontractors that work on contracts directly for the federal agencies, and not contractors working on state departments of transportation, federal aid highway contracts, or federal grant contracts. So the guidance puts forth many questions with clear answers, without any clear answers, including how to mandate will be enforced and employer liabilities stemming from this mandate.
Yeah. So as it stands, the Federal Acquisition Regulation Council is expected to release an interim contract clause that agencies could include in their new solicitations and contracts, which includes new task orders on IDIQ contracts. So that could come as early as October 15th. The construction industry, we've proven throughout the pandemic that we can work in a safe and essential manner. And OSHA has previously deemed that many construction activities they have low exposure risks to COVID-19. So maybe our industry could be exempt from this. Who knows? But in the meantime, we're going to continue to drink to the end of this damn pandemic.
It's been so long. Cheers. So in some industry-specific news, Volvo Construction Equipment unveiled its CX-01 single drum asphalt compactor concept at the Utility Expo in Louisville this week. Our own Jess Lombardo was there.
It was a lot of fun.
The CX-01 concept uses one vibratory asphalt compact drum that's usually actually two independent halves called a split drum, kept upright by a self-balancing control system. So this system is capable of being operated either by remote control or autonomously. The machine is also fitted with both a diesel engine and an energy storage system, making a flexible electronic hybrid system. So it can be operated in diesel or hybrid or other electronic modes. This concept machine is the latest Concept Lab family of prototype machines that push the boundaries of conventional construction equipment.
So obviously the industry has had some autonomous vehicles in the past, but this is something brand new. And Volvo says that by redesigning the compactors themselves, the operator is removed from the unit completely, which can reduce their exposure to vibration, noise, dust, and other associated environmental conditions that, operators face every day. Volvo also says that a fleet of these units deployed on larger jobs could work together and communicate not only between each CX unit, but also to other pieces of equipment on the site. The machines could survey the job site, report on conditions of the mat, things like density, temperature, and passes, and then determine when and where still needs to be compacted. It's an interesting concept for sure, but it's something that we're going to have to wait and see how it would work, what it would look like. But until then, roller operators, we're drinking to you out there.
Hey, cheers. Well, that's all the news that we have for you this week. I mean, there's still a lot of bustling happening in Washington. So, I mean, we're going to await for that. Jess has been up on the hour, every hour of the last night to see what's happened. So stay tuned to Asphalt Contractor Facebook page for the latest news.
Yeah, we're really, really hoping that lawmakers get their act together. I have other things to do than to sit around and wait for them to decide to vote yes for this very important legislation. It's really a once-in-a-generation opportunity to invest in a meaningful way in our roads and bridges and highways. And it's been shown that over 70% of Americans support this investment. Washington, our lawmakers, can you please listen to us? Please.
Please.
Until any decision is made by our lawmakers, we hope you all stay safe out there, and thank you so much for joining us this week. We will see you next week.
Cheers.
Watch Hops and Highways live every Friday at 3 p.m. on Asphalt Contractor's Facebook page, or catch the replay on forconstructionpros.com/videos.